this is probably my favourite bit. This is my favourite bit. Looking forward to the games of 2025. And there's a fuck ton of stuff to look forward to. Not just games to look forward to, consoles as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one cares about the PS5 Pro. So unless that gets some crazy exclusive or something, I can't see myself picking that up at all.
No.
Like the PS4 Pro basically had PSVR as its exclusive because it just didn't really run well on the PS4 base models. But PS5 Pro, I think the only game that would make me want to upgrade it is if Monster Hunter Wilds had a significant performance boost. But even that, I probably wouldn't care about that because like all of the monster hunting I've done has been on the Switch, and like about 20 or 30 hours on the Steam Deck. I'm not going into that game looking for anything too extravagant. But we do almost certainly have the Switch 2 coming in 2025.
Yeah.
And we know not a huge amount for absolute definite right now, other than the fact that it would appear to be a standard upgrade to the current Switch, retaining the general design of the console. But like a barbecue at the Super Bowl with a lot more beef under the hood.
I am super excited for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I'm also apprehensive for the wider world because I feel like gamers generally of all flavours could pick it up when it comes out and feel immediately disappointed if they don't keep certain expectations in relative check.
Yeah.
Like the specs of the Switch 2, they have likely shifted slightly since the earliest leaks because we've been hearing it was launching imminently for 3 years now?
Yeah.
But whatever the configuration, I'd be incredibly surprised if the machine is any more powerful than a Steam Deck or equivalent handheld PC. Because this comes from having a basic understanding of the tech pool at the moment. Like I'm not the most au fait in the world, but I do keep up with this stuff. It comes from having an understanding of Nintendo's long-known lateral thinking with withered technologies, principles and policies, which is what they called their basically thinking for the Game Boy onwards. And they've applied that to machines, like I said, the Game Boy, but right up until the OG Switch, it was using already dated hardware when the Switch launched. And this is the crucial one. Having a basic understanding of battery technology right now, and for want of a better term, just a basic understanding of thermodynamics. You don't have to be like a big scientist. You just need to understand power causes heat and how do we dissipate that. Like if you look at the size of the PS5, even in its slimmest form, look at the size of the juiciest Xbox or a moderate gaming PC. Power needs size, power needs cooling. You know, the best PC handhelds on the market today that are more powerful than the Steam Deck can kick out roughly the power and throughput, I'd say, of the PS4 Pro, that sort of benchmark. They're more optimized these days than when the PS4 Pro came out because that still sounded like an engine, hence being able to get this stuff to be portable at all. But you have to understand the issue of battery power and associated weight. And, the Steam Deck OLED, love it. It will run, 4 or 5 hours on a single charge. Other machines with more oomph, like the Steam Deck and kind of more powerful handhelds, 2, 3, in some cases less than that if they're really juicy. If Nintendo are pushing a higher resolution display, because it seems like it could be a 1080p handheld display.
That's a waste of time.
Yeah, it is, but I think that's what they're going for. If they push more RAM, if they have a faster integrated chip, all this stuff that they're selling the machine on kind of higher capabilities but still being handheld, we are not going to be looking at a massive generational shift from the OG Switch performance. We're just not. It's not going to be that much different. And if they're also marketing towards family, as they always have, if they want to remain cost competitive, you're going to get at best a walled garden Steam Deck with Nintendo first-party support. Like you're not suddenly going to be playing the shiniest versions of GTA 6 or Call of Duty in handheld. It's not going to happen. There may well be ports of this stuff, but it will be the same kind of ports we've had on the Switch where you go, very impressive for the Switch, but it is quite blurry. Like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I love my Switch. I absolutely love my Switch. I have a huge Switch collection. It's been my favorite piece of hardware outside the Steam Deck for many years. And I love what it represents, how it fits the gaming landscape when it came out. And I will still line up, rain or shine, to pick up my Switch 2 day one. But post Steam Deck, I'll be keeping reservations in check for how game-changing it will likely feel, given the competition and the tech landscape. Maybe I'll be proven massively wrong. I don't think so. But, clip this if you want to play back when the Switch 2 launches as the most powerful machine on the market. But back in sensible land, order it, buy it, enjoy it for what it is, not what you thought it could have been 2 or 3 years ago. That's my general sort of suggestion to the world. Anyone that's thinking now it's been in development all this time, it's going to fly. It's not. It will be a big upgrade, I'm sure. It's going to have more RAM. If nothing else, as long as the backwards compatibility does the right kind of job, a lot of the games that don't run great now should suddenly be much smoother. You know, anything with an uncapped frame rate should just be better, unless they really drop the ball. But we'll see. Side note, it does look like it takes original Switch cartridges from kind of quite recent leaks. So I don't need to start my protest outside Nintendo HQ in Kyoto just yet.
Well, that's good. That is good. I mean, I think like my general hopes for the machine, apart from like obviously unreasonable ones, like having stereoscopic 3D,
could happen.
You never know. You never know. I mean, and obviously, yeah, a big boost to performance and handling. That's obviously going to be the real sort of seller.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how this stuff works in terms of like upscaling and boosting older games to run and look better. It's not my job to know that. It's my job to want it and unreasonably demand it.
Yeah.
So there that is. But I think like certainly in my sort of career making films and working with cameras and stuff like that, software is almost as is probably more important sometimes than actually like the hardware of like the camera.
Yeah.
So how the camera works is like you can get away with what am I even saying? Like a few years ago I switched from using Canon cameras to using Sony cameras. I don't think Sony lenses are better than Canon lenses, but the software on Sony cameras mean that I can do so much more. That actually it negates the fact that maybe the quality isn't quite as good with the lenses, and it's something that I'd really like to see improved on the Switch 2. Is a much better operating system.
I'm using my Switch a lot at the moment. I cannot believe it's never had even the slightest upgrade.
Yeah.
It's been in the market for 7 years. The store is unusable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unusable.
Yeah.
And just the general homepage where I've got a lot of digital games on there. I've picked up a lot of cheap stuff over the years. I've got a lot of installed cartridge games. Trying to navigate my library is a fucking chore.
Yeah.
Like, it is miserable.
Like
all this stuff, just fix it. Please, Nintendo,
it has to be better. Like you want the experience of using the console to be like a pleasant experience. Like customizable themes, layouts, widgets. Obviously, a vast improvement to navigation of like an eShop.
Yeah.
You just need to make it like this one. You need to make it a very nice place to be.
Yeah.
It's something I always liked about the 3DS. Like just being. It just felt nice to use it and browse and tinker around with in between playing games. There was just a funness to it. Like the Wii did that really, really well. It'd be nice to see some personality injected into the machine. Yeah, and I mean, just a few more sort of quality of life things. Streaming integration, that would be nice.
It would
make it much easier to create gaming content for us. But yeah, anyway, we've still got some Switch games coming out to look forward to. Whether those end up being Switch 2 split gen cross, what do you call it? Cross gen.
Yeah,
cross gen releases or having upgrades or whatever. We obviously have the long teased Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is currently confirmed to be coming out in 2025 and on the Switch one. Time will tell with that one. It has the potential to be one of the greatest games of all time. So we all hope that that's realised. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is coming out.
Can't wait.
That's exciting. I never ended up playing the Wii U game, so I'm very much looking forward to playing that. Hoping that a Xenoblade 2 and 3 Definitive Edition is released for Switch 2.
It's possible,
and also a Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition is released too. And then them all released in a lovely big box, please.
Yeah.
Another remake, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, is coming in January. It's not a new Donkey Kong Country game that we all want. It's better than nothing. So I'll be playing that. There's the next Pokemon Legends game entitled Z to A. It's set in the French-inspired world of the 3DS's Pokemon X and Y. If it's anything like Pokemon Legends Arceus, then I'm very happily on board for that. There are some other sequels that are lined up for 2025, such as Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, which is a very long.
Is it going to be good?
I hope so. It's me, you, and Minty all loved Fantasy Life on 3DS.
We did.
That could be really good. There's a new Professor Layton game coming. Why not? Get your hat out. There's Little Nightmares 3, a series I know you liked. Yeah, I'm sure you are. What else is there? What else? Tales of Iron 2. That's a game I'm looking forward to. Another sequel. Over on the PS5 and PC, possibly on Xbox too, but I don't know about that. There are some. I really don't know. There are some really big. There's some big games coming out, starting with, which I already mentioned, Monster Hunter Wilds, which I just could not be more excited about. A few years ago, I never would have thought that I would have gotten into the Monster Hunter series, but Monster Hunter Rise, its Sunbreak expansion, really hooked me. I had such a great time playing them, and then I played Monster Hunter World on Steam Deck for a good time too, and Monster Hunter Wilds is the first big new Monster Hunter game for me to have looked forward to since becoming a fan of the series, so absolutely bring it on. Mentioned earlier, Doom Dark Ages, which hopefully maintains the quality of Doom Eternal. The Outer Worlds 2. That looks fantastic. Game both of us really loved. Looks to be more of the same, probably, but shinier, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Crimson Desert looks to be a very promising new open world RPG. From what I've seen, and certainly the coverage, it looks almost too good to be true, in how it's sort of presenting itself. I'm very intrigued to see how it holds up when it's finally released. It's not a big AAA, big budget studio, and it's making it look like a game that I would expect to see on PS6. So
yeah.
Either they've absolutely nailed it and it's about to be something very, very special, or it'll be in the bin. But fingers crossed for that one. Death Stranding 2, GTA 6, Ghost of Yotai, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. 3 enormous quadruple A games coming out next year. I'll probably put good money on all 3 of those missing their release dates, because those are gargantuan developments, so it could be 2026.
I think GTA 6 may just never release. every year where GTA 5 continues to make the money it's making, it's like the Switch 2 situation. The reason the Switch 2 hasn't... But I mean, the reason the Switch 2 hasn't happened yet is because there is no financial reason to make it happen. Yeah. The Switch is still selling, even with all the caveats we mentioned in terms of how old it feels now. It's still selling, and GTA 5 is still the most bought game every week and has been for as long as it's existed in the world. So GTA 6, 2030 maybe, if it has to.
We shall see. There is no rush. In the last couple of weeks, we had the Game Awards 2024, which is now more about the reveals shown at the event rather than the awards themselves. Although I was very, very pleased to see Astrobot get so deservedly honoured there. But the biggest surprise for me was the announcement of an Elden Ring spin-off called Night Rain, which is an online co-op, more arcadey action twist on the Souls-like formula, and it looks incredible. It looks to have an element of the roguelike about it, certainly an element of the sort of Destiny setup, more than a hint of Diablo in its execution, even dare I say it, Fortnite about some of the setup. But crucially, they have confirmed it will not be a live service game, that there will not be microtransactions, there will not be a battle season pass system. Also, the game is playable offline and in single player mode as well. Not much more is known about the game than that, other than it looks to also feature bosses from the Dark Souls series, and so it looks like they're really having fun with this.
Party time.
It looks to be an amazingly fun time, potentially brilliant twist on the From Software formula to scratch that classic itch, and a whole bevy of new itches as well. I guess all we need now is Dark Souls Survivors to be announced from Software.
It's possible.
They'll own all of my time then. But yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing how that shapes up. There's a new Virtua Fighter game that's been teased.
I think that could be really cool.
Could be.
I'm not a fighting game person, but I played 5. I think was on the PS3. I think I had it there.
Yeah.
And it's quite fun. It's slower than a lot of fighting games, and I appreciated that because my brain doesn't go fast enough to learn Street Fighter combos or Tekken combos or whatever. But yeah, the fighting games I've enjoyed the most are the simpler setups of Virtua Fighter and Dead or Alive, because they both have a much more limited set of inputs you need to kind of know. And it's far more about just taking your time, looking closely at what's happening, and then responding appropriately. And I quite like that. So there's a possibility that Sega are going to come back and
yeah, I mean,
some
that's
sort of fighting game crown.
Probably what everybody wants in a fighting game is just something to be appropriate.
That's what I look for in all games.
Yeah.
Good level of appropriateness.
I gotta say, stay away from Mortal Kombat.
Not appropriate. Not appropriate.
A new Sonic racing game.
Yeah,
it's a sub-series I've always enjoyed. It seems to be riding the Shadow the Hedgehog train at full speed too. And then also there was another game that caught my eye from the developers of Sifu, the moody martial arts beat 'em up game.
Yeah.
They revealed Rematch, which is like an arcade football game that looks really, really cool.
Naturally.
Yeah. Another one I'm going to keep my eye on. Like, what sticks out to you of any of those games, or any other games that are coming our way in 2025?
I don't know. Like I said, like in terms of some of those Switch entries that you mentioned, there's a few that I'm excited for. The boring answer is I'm genuinely most excited about Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is something that we've already had the opportunity to play. So it's not even like a new exciting thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because I want something semi-familiar, but I had a really good time playing that on the Wii U. It's a classic example of a game where you're just walking around a lot of the time. And as I've said lots of times, I like walking around. So maybe Death Stranding too as well. I know that's very, very similar, but I haven't played the first one. So, I can beat that first. That could be my game of 2025. And then I'll play Death Stranding 2 when I'm 44 in a few years' time.